At this point in the Mario series, it had entered into its usual formulaic pattern. The player will be forced to go through 8 worlds of varying design, fight a set of bosses, and finally defeat Bowser again so that Princess Peach can enjoy the privilege of another 8 months of peace before Bowser licks his wounds to do it all over again. Instead of putting out another game that just goes through the motions, Intelligent Systems was given a license to make an entry, and they decided to play silly buggers with it. Welcome to the point that Nintendo realized they've been making the same game so many times that in of itself had become a hilarious cliche, and Intelligent Systems was gonna ride that joke for all it was worth. Paper Mario would be the first in a lengthy line of irreverent games that took the Mario formula, turned it on its head, and dressed it up in various colorful outfits so that a humorous satire could be born. And humorous is an understatement because Paper Mario is such a hilarious game that its middle name might as well have been comedy. Sure, it probably would have been excruciating if the game was just the jokes jammed into regular gameplay, but instead, they're just a part of the world that Intelligent had built, peppered around in every interaction, making Mario's journey a light and funny one, filled with multidimensional characters, bosses, and background NPCs, which is definitely something you want to see in a game made for 10-year-olds. Yeah, the writing style throughout the game shows that this was made more for the benefit of the children who got N64s back in the late 90s, but the game is so smartly written that the plot can still be immersive for the adult who enjoys a great RPG, since it still has some head-smacking challenges towards the end of the game. Like the story writing, Intelligent had created thought-provoking gameplay using a familiar turn-based combat model dressed up with all the bells and whistles that gives the player a lot of customization to develop different strategies when harder fights demand some pre-game planning. Yeah, when you get to bosses like Huff and Puff and Lava Piranha, you are going to need to be on your best behavior, or you'll be steamrolled right back to the save point from 2 rooms ago. The system is a basic set of attack moves that can be modified with the game's badge system, which basically amounts to a limited number of move modifications depending on the number of points, and these badges can be swapped out to better prepare Mario for certain types of battles, rather than Super Mario RPG's method of just equipping the strongest items you have and going in guns blazing. It's the familiar gameplay of an RPG with a few twists that make it a more intuitive and changeable version of normal RPG combat, along with the whole system of the player or enemy being allowed to launch the first attack outside of the turn-based thing that adds just the right amount of luck to a game to keep it interesting. Yeah, Intelligent Systems is really living up to its own name. As you can see in these clips in Paper Mario, Intelligent decided to create a pseudo 16-bit game for their N64 title that adds a lot of wackiness and animation quirks to justify the comedic world in which the game occurs, and it ends up making the game look iconic for the right reasons. This game is gonna age a hell of a lot better than Super Mario 64 did, since this flat style is more timeless than early 3D stacks of blocks. Intelligent Systems used this 2D style knowing how it works, so it ends up creating an involving world instead of just looking uncanny and ruining the style that they were going for. It's not like combining 2D and 3D in video games has always worked spectacularly, so this must have been difficult, along with the massive amounts of dialogue the team wrote up for a ridiculous amount of NPCs in order to build an entire immersive kingdom that manages to have specifically unique areas while still making it feel like one homogeneous world. Even the little details that almost no one looked at, like Mario's buddies being able to read mail from their loved ones, or that Mario can go home and read Luigi's diary. And while the game looks cute and adorable, sometimes it can get downright cruelly difficult at some of the later bosses and fights requiring some pre-fight planning and on-the-fly gaming skills, since the Action Command QTE combat bonuses add the right amount of luck to the actual RPG mechanics to make the fights varied and involving the player throughout the fight instead of just on their turn. Although it is hugely satisfying to bring down these ardent lieutenants of Bowser's army and grab the formulaic plot devices so that Mario can save the world from Bowser yet again, and destroy the crap out of his flying death castle. We don't know why Bowser decided to build a flying castle, and we also don't know why he managed to build it underneath Peach's castle without anyone knowing, but we're not gonna question it because this game is fucking awesome. It plays out in a more storybook style just to show off their paper-like art style yet again, because each level is called a chapter, and each chapter has multidimensional characters and unique quests to make every turn Mario takes interesting, since there's nothing that actually repeats throughout this game. Although that also does bring a couple of bugbears to mind, since no game is truly perfect. Some parts of some levels are really repetitive and annoying to complete, some of the boss characters don't have any personality and seem to be in the game for for no reason, also known as a jump scare boss fight. This Turn of the Millennia RPG also doesn't have a lot of optional content or a pit of 100 trials, and some of the game's puzzles follow bizarre developer logic, like how you are supposed to get the Koopa brothers to stop blockading the way to the Koopa village very early in the game. Unfortunately, Paper Mario was released during the last year of the console's life, so it attained mostly cult classic status rather than the amazeballs reaction that Super Mario 64 got, even though Paper Mario has similar design and gameplay chops that allowed the series to not only spawn, but also splinter off into a second irreverent vector of silly jokes. Overall, Paper Mario was the game that took the crown from Square for quirky Mario RPGs, since it added not only a lot of character and villains to the Mario roster, but also improved upon a couple ideas from Square that were executed better on the newer technology. Unlike spin-off developers that don't know what they were doing, Intelligent Systems went at the development of Paper Mario how you were supposed to, and studied the Mario series so that they could create a meaningful and funny satire of the Mario series, as well as providing an immersive world and quest for Mario to complete. If you never even looked at this game's general direction in the past, then I would highly suggest buying it on the Nintendo Virtual Console, because this 20-hour RPG is certainly worth your time, as it is a charming, well-written, and incredibly rewarding role-playing game that helped define a Mario subgenre all the way to the present day. Man, Nintendo was sure on the ball back in its N64 days, able to get two amazing Mario games back to back. So let's finish this video up with a final scoreboard. And I'll see you guys next time on a different console for the next Mario game. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave you all with a victory for gamers to make you feel great about yourselves.